Good evening. My name is Heather McGee, and I want to thank you for coming together to join with us as we celebrate and honor essential workers this Labor Day weekend. I know we've been hearing this phrase a lot, essential worker. But why now? Why not before? And what does the future hold for essential workers? Tonight, we come together as families and workers, as community members, and as a country to pay tribute to essential workers by giving a window into what their lives are really like, by honoring those we've lost, and by centering their stories in our national conversation. We've spoken with essential workers from all across the country, and you'll hear from a number of them, including the many Black and brown workers, immigrants, and women who disproportionately make up the ranks of essential workers and who have faced some of the highest rates of infections and lives lost due to COVID-19. So pull out your phones and text a friend and tell them to tune in so we can all be together in solidarity tonight for 1 hour honoring those whose work has made it possible for us to be safe, healthy, fed, and to function during these challenging times. You'll be hearing this throughout tonight's program, but it's going to take all of us to honor, fight for, and protect essential workers. And so please join us by texting tribute to 97779. To kick off tonight's event, I'm excited to introduce to you Ms. Deborah Cozy Lane. She's worked with the Chicago Transit Authority, the CTA in my hometown, for over 20 years, and she's done it all. She's been a janitor, a ticket agent, and a red line rail operator, driving red line passengers from the north to the south of Chicago. They call Chicago the city that works, but it wouldn't be that way without the hard work of people like Ms. Deborah Cozy Lane. She's a woman of many, many talents. Now joining us, Ms. Deborah Cozy Lane.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are one, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me. We're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for you won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Alyssa. It's so nice to meet you.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you as well.
So I went to Stuyvesant High School, and you were a teacher there. We both live in New York City, and there's obviously a lot of discussion about what's happening with the school year. How do you feel about going back to school?
I mean, it's a really mixed bag. We're teachers and we want to be with our kids. And that's the best part of my job is the 40 minutes that I'm in a classroom and I'm interacting with my class. And at the same time, it's slightly terrifying because we've worked so hard in the last 5 months in New York City to get our numbers where they are. And we're all really scared that if we don't do this well and if it isn't planned well, then we're just going to have wasted everything that we've done. And it's really hard for us as teachers to be we aren't ready to come back. We don't know if it's safe. So many of my students in particular live in multi-generational homes. They're terrified to come to school and then go home and possibly get somebody in their household sick.
I totally understand that. I live with my mother and my son, so it's a multi-generational household as well. And these are all things to consider because you don't want to transmit anything. You don't want anyone to get ill.
The greater the body count, the number of people in the building, the higher the transmission rate can be.
Tell me about the joy that you feel connecting to students, whether it's in classroom or online.
I don't think I can explain it. It's just walking down the hallways and seeing kids you haven't seen in 3 years and just catching up on what they've been doing, or watching a student struggle trying to get a concept, and that moment when they figure it out and they are just a pure joy runs through their body that they figured this out, and then watching them try to help somebody else.
From a New Yorker and from a citizen, I want to say thank you. It's a time where you have really shown, how significant and how important you are.
My job as an essential worker is to teach the children of New York City. And whether we do that remotely or in the building, we are all prepared to do that the very first moment that they let us talk to our kids. Hopefully on the 16th.
Given the circumstances, it seems like you have the energy and the hope to connect regardless of whether you're in the classroom or not. And that is what makes you such a force of nature, frankly.
I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to do everything I can to get my classroom ready for when my kids come, to make it as enjoyable and exciting and educational an experience as possible. When 1.1 million students around the city log on to the internet simultaneously on the 16th at 9 a.m.
It's going to be a learning curve.
I've been with Chicago Transit for going on 23 years. I work as a customer service rep. In the beginning of the pandemic, it was extremely hard because we did not know what was going on. Everything was changing daily. I have not taken any days off during the pandemic. I've been working every day to show my members that we can do this. We are stronger together. We just need for our communities to put their arms around us as we come to work, and what that feels like. It feels like love. It feels like somebody wrapping your arms around you and telling you that you matter and thank you. That's just a simple thing that we're looking for the people up top to say thank you.
A lot of my co-workers got affected. I say they were in the double digits. One of them is still recovering. That work that my local has done, we definitely want the big boss to come out and reach out to us and know that we are people as well. We go through all the symptoms, we go through the emotions.
Yo, shout out to all the essential workers. You keep the city going. From the guy that makes the bacon, egg, and cheese in the morning to the lady that wipes out the turnstiles for the subway. Without the essential workers, there'd be no New York City. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Essential workers show up for us, so we have to show up for them.
I grew up in a house with two essential workers. My mother was a public school teacher in the Bronx, and my father was an HVAC technician who worked primarily with local bodegas. I know the importance of the essential worker. Your sanitation workers, healthcare workers, all people who we take for granted on a daily basis, but without them, our lives would be impossible. You show up for us, so we're here to show up for you.
To all of the essential workers and your loved ones watching tonight, thank you. Thank you so much for your labor, often at great risks and too little reward for yourself and your families. It's what has powered this country through this pandemic and long before it. Truth be told, it's what has always allowed this country to thrive. The pandemic has deemed you essential, but you have always been essential. We're grateful for you and we honor you. And together, we can make sure that you receive the benefits, protections, and dignity that all people rightly deserve. You've shown up for us, and you better believe we will show up for you.
Mi nombre es Ramona de Loera y yo estoy aquí en Florida. Ahorita me encuentro en mi casa. Mi trabajo es componer los jets de la irrigación de las huertas de naranja, que se sigan regando, que salga el agua, la tubería, la manguera, todo eso es lo que yo hago. Mis papás fueron migrantes, trabajadores agrícolas toda su vida. Y pues yo crecí en ese ambiente de trabajar en la labor, como te digo, en todo tipo de verduras y vegetales. Yo crecí en ese ambiente. No teníamos otra opción. Empezó en marzo, que cerraron las escuelas, cerraron los centros. Pues como te digo, soy mamá de 7 niñas. Me tuve que dejar el trabajo en ese momento para poder quedarme en casa y cuidarlas. Durante todo ese tiempo no he podido trabajar en tiempo completo y eso afecta a la familia. Nada más va a ser un ingreso a la casa. So que ahí la estamos llevando poco a poquito, pero estamos tratando de llevarla día a día. Escucho la radio y toman una hora para agradecerles a los héroes, a las personas esenciales. Nombran paramédicos, los bomberos, los policías, trabajadores de la Home Depot, de las tiendas. Les dan las gracias, les dan reconocimiento de su trabajo, de su labor. Pero en ningún momento oí que nombraron un trabajador agrícola. A pesar de que somos las personas que ponemos las verduras, los vegetales en las mesas de todo este país para las familias, no siento y no he visto el reconocimiento y las gracias que debíamos de tener. Pues a los que nos apoyan, a la gente que está ahí para nosotros, gracias. Creo que eso es lo más importante, tener ese apoyo, no solo para mí, sino para todas las personas que trabajamos en este medio, en el campo. Es importante que nos escuchen, es importante que si el pago es menos, es importante los beneficios que no tenemos, es importante que sepan que hay ayuda que se les brinda.
2020, COVID-19, it's affected us in so many different ways, and it truly will change our lives forever. We're facing multiple crises right now. We're in the midst of an uprising against systemic racism and police violence against Black bodies. It's a lot. But when I look around and I notice how our essential workers have shown up and risked their own lives to keep the rest of us safe and healthy and fed, I feel very grateful, and I feel a lot of hope. We salute you.
Yes, Black stories matter, Black voices matter, and Black lives matter. Black people are creating solutions and doing life-saving work that Americans can't live without. And yet we are disproportionately targeted by the twin crises of the pandemic and structural racism. For Black lives to truly matter, policymakers and employers need to do more to protect Black essential workers and their families. Please join the fight by texting tribute to 97779.
Hi, I'm Alicia Garza. principal at the Black Futures Lab and Strategy and Partnerships Director for the National Domestic Workers Alliance. We are taking a beat this Labor Day weekend to honor essential workers. But this is a time when this country is also having a long overdue reckoning over structural racism. Black folks, and Black women in particular, are facing multiple interlocking crises right now, between the health impacts of the pandemic, which is hitting Black communities the hardest, some of the most intense economic suffering given decades of disinvestment in Black communities, and also, all too often, experiencing the pain that is being inflicted at the hands of police. One of the people that we honor today is Breonna Taylor. Breonna, too, was an essential worker. She was an EMT living in Kentucky who dreamed of being a nurse. Breonna was working as an ER technician at 2 area hospitals during the pandemic. She worked daily to save lives. She made the lives of others better, caring for her younger sister and her infant goddaughter. She was the first in her family to graduate from high school. She had just fallen in love, and she was murdered in her home by Louisville police. Those police officers have still not been held accountable. The Breonna Taylors of the world are too often expected to keep America safe. America should commit to keeping them safe too. Her life matters. Black lives matter. And it's going to take every single one of us to make that real.
We need to find so many ways to say thanks to essential workers in our own community. One way is through art. Art is a catalyst that sparks curiosity, fuels imagination, provides hope, and can be a conversation starter. So we're headed to Chicago for an art mural from an incredible muralist named Sam Kirk. Now, I haven't seen this piece before, so we'll all be taking a look at it together tonight for the very first time. Let's take a look.
I do murals that celebrate culture and community. Being a public artist, it allows me to participate in conversations that are political or around social issues in a way that I think inspires a different kind of dialogue. For me, it's about making sure that people who feel invisible feel seen and feel proud of who they are, but also helping everyone else stop to see like, oh, wait a second, that looks like so-and-so in my life. I should maybe pay more attention to what they do and how they contribute to my day-to-day. For this one, more than anything, what I wanted to do was to just showcase them in a way that was respectful and that they felt was like an empowerment piece to them.
I am an essential worker. My job as an elementary manager, I love it. Those that know me know that I put my best foot forward. I get up faithfully every day to make sure I do my job and put 150% into it, because I know if I wouldn't do it, who would? It's good to take care of the community, because when we as a school give back, the community gives back as well.
Realmente mi trabajo como nani es llevar a cabo el desarrollo de los niños. Realmente sí es preocupante, porque mi trabajo es cuidar a los niños y yo no puedo enfermarme. Que si nosotras, los trabajadores esenciales, como nosotras las nanis, que merecemos ser reconocidos por la sociedad, y realmente lo que deseamos es un salario justo, prestaciones, no discriminación, ya que nuestro trabajo es muy esencial para la sociedad. Realmente es un orgullo representar el muro, ya que yo represento a 2.5 millones de mujeres trabajadoras del hogar en todo Estados Unidos.
In mid-March, when the pandemic hit, all of my cleaning jobs were put on hold. So basically, if I wouldn't have my elderly care part-time job, I would be with no work whatsoever and no income. I'm a single mother, so that makes the work and the struggle even harder. because there is no childcare available at this point for many workers. So it would be nice if the government would issue more financial help, especially for single parents like me, when we can't leave our children at home. It's hard sometimes, very hard. But you have to do what you gotta do. Think positive and just make the best of whatever you can,
I like my job. I like servicing people. I like my customers, my coworkers. Initially, it was pretty stressful. I think I didn't really understand what we were up against and what were some of the risks, and I didn't know if I wanted to be at work. And I didn't know if what I was doing was that important in the scheme of things. So when I go out on my route and there's literally thank you cards and customers who take the time to put signs up for you to read when you get there, you're snapped into reality like, oh, yeah, I'm understanding the level of appreciation for my service during this time and what it means to them. I don't feel like a hero, but I do feel a little bit more appreciated these days.
What I'm most curious about is the long term, right? Like that's part of the reason why I do public art, because it presents the opportunity for me to put a piece out that isn't just one day, it's gonna last years and years. So I'm curious, how is this moment that we're living in right now gonna change the way we treat these people and the benefits that we start to give them, or are we gonna continue to keep that away from them? I just hope that some real things start to change.
Okay, are we ready? Here we go. Steven, what do you like to be called, Steve or Steven?
Steven works.
All right. Yeah, my brother is named Steven too, and he hates it when I call him Steve because he says it sounds like he's a helicopter pilot in 1985. I don't understand why. Now, Steven, is it my understanding you're full-time working and you're teaching your kids?
Yeah, I have the help of my most lovely assistant. That's my wife. She's helping a lot more with the teaching part, but I'm doing my best to help out when I can as well. But she's always been the trooper with taking care of them at home when I'm off at work. So.
And where do you work now?
I work at a grocery store, Kroger.
And what do you do for them?
Well, I'm one of the supervisors on the front end, but it's more or less I'm a cashier. I spend a lot of my time helping to keep an eye out with the customers and just checking everybody out. But when I'm on the supervisor role, it's just helping making sure that we keep lines down, we keep customers happy, keeping them in and out quickly at the register. So
when COVID hit, did you have any break at all, or was there any stop?
No, we got hit full force when it came in. It was like the craziest days ever. Like, I'm used to some holidays. I've worked them in my 13 years, and it was like a holiday every day for like 2 weeks.
Man, and that holiday required people to have all the toilet paper they could possibly carry.
Yes, I literally had multiple people at one point or another threaten full-on violence between the store or the other customers if we didn't figure out a way for them to get their toilet paper. It was blowing my mind.
People didn't know what to expect or how this virus was working, and you were going to work every day like like you were in an army or something, and going like, well, this is what we got to do. And were you terrified, or what were you feeling?
The beginning just kind of felt surreal. It was crazy busy and things were just wild, but it really quickly became kind of realistic what we were into. And even though it's still going on, even though we've lost over 180,000 lives in this country, it's still being brushed aside as though it's going to end soon. You just wait. Just being personal. These are friends and family that are really suffering because of the lack of action.
Amen. Stephen Brown for president. You do know that you're a hero, right? I don't know. I hope people tell you. I mean, you basically dress in a cape and a mask every day now. People like you that have remained calm and done and gone to work and put in crazy hours and taking care of their kids and pregnant wives, and it's you're doing a Herculean task every day.
As I've been saying since this all started, I still say to people now, this is a fight we are all having to fight together. There is no one side or another side. There is no black, blue, brown, white, or in between. This is a fight that, unfortunately, everybody's going to have to face together. We all have to go through it together. We all have to realize that. And if we can realize it just a little bit more than we are right now, I think we'll take the time to concern ourselves with not just what we want, but what we need to do for ourselves and everybody else. So just keep that one thought in mind. This is a fight we're fighting together.
Stephen, thank you so much. You are a hero and badass. I wish I could hug you, but I'm not going to. I hope they erect statues to you guys because you are a big part of why people are getting through this thing.
My name is Ricardo Buchanan, and I work at Esplanade Garden. I'm a handyman during the course of the day. During COVID, we are a little nervous, a little anxiety, but we have to come to work. I think that these essential workers, they are heroes. They are the ones that are taking the risk. They are the ones that are getting the job done. Sure, they should be recognized, given more pay also, I wrote a poem that things will never be normal again. And when I read it, I hope you'll enjoy it. Things will never go back to normal again. Too many sacrifices, so many pains. Doctors and nurses losing their lives, battling this coronavirus day and night. Essential workers are on the front lines. Janitors, doormen, farm workers and deliveries. We the people are risking our lives for you and you to survive despite inadequate PPE. And things will never go back to normal again. For the people are dying by the thousand in China, United States, and Spain, and things will never go back to normal again. While politicians, presidents, and governors debate ventilators and PPE, world leaders stubbornly avoiding the coronavirus blame. Please, human lives are at stake. Why you don't stop your senseless finger pointing and political games? You know normal will never be normal again. Things will never go back to normal again. Awake from your sleep, causing businesses to shut down, increasing unemployment for you and me. And social distances, anxiety and quarantine are the new normal of today. Things will never go back to normal again. Things will never be the same under this pandemic strain, and things will never go back to normal again until this pandemic is contained.
As we honor essential workers this Labor Day weekend, we must also ensure that no one falls through the cracks. Every day, over 2.5 million nannies, care workers, and house cleaners, mostly women, Black and brown, many immigrants, do the work of ensuring that our loved ones can live with dignity, often without some of the most basic rights, workplace protections, and recognition. Every day, domestic workers show up for us. Now let's make sure we're showing up for them.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. Hello, my name is Sophia Bush. I'm incredibly honored to be here today with some of the incredible women who make up the Domestic Workers Alliance. As we are navigating what's happening in the world, in our country, the fallout from COVID-19 and more, it's incredibly important to remember our essential workers and to remember the people who may not be given as much attention out there in the media landscape. And that's really why we're here today. Priscilla, hello. It's so nice to meet you.
Well, thank you, Sophia, for inviting me. And of course, thanks National Domestic Workers Alliance. I've been a family caregiver now for 6 years. This is work that you don't turn off when you go out the door. I want to know that my patient is safe even when I'm not around. During this pandemic, we have to put ourselves on the back burner because we're going into these people's homes and we have to worry about what we're bringing from the outside into their homes so we don't infect them. And so for us to be called heroes now is an understatement because we've been heroes this whole time. We've been doing this work for years.
Susie, how are things going for you in Texas? How are you holding up?
I have been doing this kind of work, caring for the elderly in our community, since 1986. I have never ever worked under stressful times as we have when COVID hit. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I worked 12-hour shifts. Thursday and Friday and Saturday night, I worked 9 to 11 o'clock the next morning. So I'm holding down almost 2 full-time jobs. It's hard, and the COVID-19 has added more stress.
But Tanya, I'd love to get to know you as well. I'm just wondering how you're feeling in the midst of this, pandemic.
Sí, yo limpio como por 10 familias y aparte de eso también limpio Airbnb. En las casas de familia yo me siento un poco más segura porque las casas de familia son prácticamente las mismas personas siempre. En los Airbnb es un poco más peligroso, pero la limpieza es uno de los puntos número 1 para que podamos mantenernos sanos, para que podamos mantenernos a salvo de toda esta locura que está pasando, porque es algo difícil, muy duro con todo. Y también otra cosa muy triste y que me afectó demasiado fue ver que a los niños les estaba llegando una ayuda de $500 y mis hijos son tan ciudadanos americanos como cualquier niño y a mis hijos no les llegó esa ayuda simplemente porque mis niños son mis hijos, porque mis niños son hijos de una persona indocumentada.
The irony is not lost on me. My grandmother came here as an immigrant, and to hear in particular, in terms of this pandemic, this sort of anti-immigrant sentiment that has been drummed up and not acknowledging the fact that so many people who come here to build a life with their families in the same way that my family did and so many other families did, come here in their first generation as immigrants. They come here very often as undocumented. They have children who are American citizens, and we are leaving families out because of a real failure of the system and also really dangerous rhetoric that is making us forget that the entire point of the American experiment was to build a community.
Our country has always been a melting pot, welcoming every nationality who ever wanted to be American citizens.
What would it look like to be treated as essential? What do you need on the front lines of this fight that you're not actually getting? What do you want folks like me at home to know?
We need benefits, we need sick days, health insurance, the whole round.
We're not asking for something that we haven't already earned and we're still earning it. That's the difference.
You're right. And I really do hope that all the folks who we were able to bring into this conversation today will on Twitter or Instagram search Domestic Workers Alliance, follow the organization, donate what you can. We need boots on the ground here.
Up next, a musical performance by singer, songwriter, producer, and philanthropist Aloe Blacc.
Hi, this is Aloe Blacc. It brings me such joy to join you in paying tribute to the people on the front lines in keeping all of us safe through the pandemic. For all those who are treating the sick and educating our kids, caring for our elders and cleaning the places where we live and work stocking store shelves and delivering our packages. To all the essential workers out there, we see you, we honor you, and we stand with you in the fight for safety protections, living wages and benefits, worker protections, and for dignity. Thank you for all you do. Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream, and life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. Well, that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. I tried carrying the weight of the world, but I only have two hands. I hope I get the chance to travel the world, but I don't have any plans. Wish that I could stay forever this young, not afraid to close my eyes. See, life's a game made for everyone, and love is the prize. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. 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 So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost.
Essential workers are what make the world go round. They're selfless, they're brave, they're caring, they're essential. They show up for us, so we show up for them.
My name is Jason Campbell, and I'm a resident physician in the Department of Anesthesiology. I currently live in Portland, Oregon. So I started dancing with my colleagues at work in February, right before COVID-19 started, and have now been dubbed the TikTok doc. Yeah, my message to all the essential workers is that we're all on this together. And I say that because to the garbage collectors, the grocery store clerks, the cafeteria workers, especially in the hospital, and especially the custodial and environmental service staff at my hospital and at all hospitals nationwide, we couldn't do this without you guys. And hopefully that you feel the same way about us. I think COVID-19 has brought us all hopefully together. Try to take each and every day and find a simple joy and let those simple joys add up. But we have to be in it together.
The next dance I recorded with Dr. Paula Roldan is dedicated to all the essential workers at work today. Thank you for all that you do.
Amazing. Thank you to everyone who has done a TikTok during this pandemic. You have kept America entertained.
I am extremely grateful for the essential workers right now. They are really going out there and working so hard to make sure everyone stays safe and healthy. They're out there basically risking their lives to help thousands and millions of people. So I want to personally thank each and every one of you guys, because you guys really are the ones who are really making a difference right now, and who are helping us in this crazy, crazy time. They show up for us, we'll show up for them.
Hello, partners in the fight for change. It's so good to join you this afternoon to talk about the urgent need to protect essential workers who are protecting us during this crisis. And I'm so honored to have this important conversation with a champion for children and for working families. Miran Algori, who I had the chance to meet on the campaign trail last year, has been in this fight for a very, very long time. So, Miran, let me start by just asking, how are you doing and how is your family doing?
Good afternoon, Senator Warren. I'm so honored to be here and to get to chit-chat with you again. I'm doing well, despite the circumstances that we're facing. My family's well.
What brought you to the fight for essential workers? How did you end up here today?
What brought me to the fight for the working class, it's actually my mother. I'm a second-generation family childcare provider, so my mom was one of those pioneers in San Diego who wanted to become unionized and to have a voice.
When you learn from your mother, you know you've learned the right stuff. So can you say a word about how the pandemic has affected you and your work?
So we went from having a family childcare that was thriving, where we had 14 children coming in every day, to having 1, 2, and for a whole month we had no attendance. Mm-hmm. So it has impacted everyone, every single one of the families that I provide services for, and for us as a family childcare business.
What would it look like if Congress was there to support you? What is it you need most from elected leaders? What do you need most from Washington?
What we need most from Washington is to be supported like the essential workers that we are. Essential workers should be treated with dignity. Essential workers should have the right to take time off when they get sick. They mm-hmm. should have the right for health care. As essential workers, they should have childcare services readily available for them without having to decide whether they're going to pay the rent or they're going to pay for childcare services. Mm-hmm. As essential workers, we should have the right to get tested for COVID, and while we're closed, trying to figure out whether we're already positive or not, have an income coming in instead of having to close our doors and not having an income and stressing about how am I going to pay for the test? Is testing free? Is it available for me as an essential worker? Those are the things that I think that we need from Washington. We need support. We just don't want to be labeled essential workers. We want to be treated as such.
Yeah, I think that's a core point. It's not enough just that you have the label. That means you've got to show up. You really need to be treated like the essential workers that you are. You know, here we are, we're in this unprecedented crisis. And across the country, thousands and thousands of people have died from an infectious disease that we could have had under control by now. So now here we are in uncharted territory, but it does not mean that we are helpless. Every day, essential workers like you, essential workers who are mostly women and mostly women of color, are answering the call to protect our most vulnerable and to keep life as we know it moving forward. So I see it the same way you do. I see it as essential workers are fighting for us. So now it's our responsibility to fight for you. And this is why Congressman Ro Khanna and I have been fighting for a federal essential workers bill of rights. This is a set of 10 rights and protections that Congress can guarantee for essential workers during this time of crisis and beyond. Healthcare security, protective equipment, family and medical leave, child care, as you rightly identify, worker protections, the kinds of things that would touch your life and the lives of the people that you're helping every single day. And I think that's critical here. I just want to say thank you, Niren, for all that you are doing. It has been terrific. You have been a real inspiration. I know how important you've been to so many parents and to so many little ones, and how important you've been to someone like me who wants to get the policies right and get this done. If we stand together, if we fight together, if we persist together, we're going to make it through this time of crisis. So please stay safe, and thanks for being a part of this.
Wow. Thank you so much to Elizabeth Warren for standing up for essential workers. We need to fight for better worker pay, to raise labor standards and ensure protections and a voice on the job. We need real urgent action to ensure that every worker is protected and can live and work with dignity and safety. Please join the fight by texting TRIBUTE to 97779.
Sometimes I make large-scale public artworks for buildings and for cities, but my favorite part of my practice is that I get to do a lot of community engagement, and it's been kind of a passport to meet people from all different communities across LA County. So that's the best thing that I like about being an artist. My name's Deborah Aschheim, and I'm an artist. I live in Pasadena, but my studio is in East LA. I love things that allow me to go deeper into relationships that tend to be like a little bit scripted. So I chose to go to a couple of stores that I go to all the time. I took a bunch of pictures of them doing their regular activities, but while I was shooting, I got to talk to them more about who they were. Some of them were into art. You know, I shopped there, but I just hadn't had an opportunity to go beyond this like customer-clerk relationship. Here were people that had to go to work every day, and I'd wanted to tell them how much I appreciated their coming in every day and putting their health on the line. Samantha was the clerk that rings me up sometimes at Ralph's. So it was really lovely for me to be able to think of something I could give her as a gift, to thank her for risking her health every day to help me be able to have food and stay home. And I want other people to really see them, you know, and to think about what if they had a job where they had to make a decision between risking their health or being able to pay their rent. When I think of essential workers, I think of people who like range in status and compensation in our society, from like friends of mine that are doctors and scientists and are doing really high level work of trying to cure the virus. I also know people that are at the other end of the income spectrum, where they have jobs that are that pay minimum wage, and they're being asked to make the exact same sacrifices and take the same risk, and we depend on them just as much every day. But I really think we need something legislative, like an essential workers bill of rights. I think that people who are doing jobs that they can't stay at home and don't have the option to not do during the pandemic need to be guaranteed a safe workplace. But I don't think a thank you is enough, no matter how grateful they were. I think we need to really prove it by paying the costs that everyone is taking on that is doing this work for us, even if it makes things a little more expensive for us.
My name is Cam Stewart. I work for Jewel Food Store for 48 years. I think a lot of people are finally to realize what unions are for and what they do for them, because you have a lot of people quitting jobs and trying to get a union job. Whether the pay is the same or not, a lot of them are coming in for the support that they get from the unions.
Woo! Hi there. This is a message for my essential workers. You are so essential to me and to all Americans all the time, and especially this year, in this crazy year of 2020. Essential workers, you have kept America safe, alive, and running this year. Thank you. You do not hear it enough. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. America is all you. Okay? Essential workers, the majority of essential workers are made up of Black people, brown people, people of color, women, and immigrants. America is all you. It's all you, essential workers. It is all you. Thank you for your work. And you know what? We need our system to reflect how essential, necessary, and amazing you are. We need essential workers to have a raise in pay, to have increased safety in their workplace, to have higher workplace standards reflected, and to also have workers have increased power in their workplace and increased representation. You deserve dignity and respect and endless thanks.
Hi all, I am truly honored to be with you tonight. And I am grateful for all the workers who have contributed to the strength and well-being of our country in these challenging times. While most Americans have the opportunity to stay home and spend time with their families through this pandemic, restaurant workers have been thrust onto the front lines of this unprecedented public health crisis. They are cooks, servers, cleaners, delivery workers, and all others in the front and back of the house who put themselves and their loved ones at great risk to bring food to our table and keep us all nourished. The majority of these restaurant and food service workers are people of color, women and immigrants, and often they have little to no access to safety equipment, paid sick days, paid leave, medical insurance, hazard pay, or other job protections that would ensure their safety, health, and economic sustainability. And while we are in a country of great prosperity, millions of tipped workers in the restaurant industry still earn a minimum wage as low as $2.13 an hour, leaving them particularly vulnerable to sexual and other harassment, and often relying on public assistance to make ends meet. Restaurant workers have shown up for us. Let's show up for them.
Restaurant workers are often underpaid, undervalued, and unnoticed. But at the same time, they experience daily challenges where they denied sick days, hazard paid, PPE, and the protection that this society need to afford them. I'm here to ask you to help essential workers and support the Essential Workers Bill of Rights.
Good afternoon. My name is Alex Teles, and I've been in the restaurant industry for the past 24 years.
My name is Brandy, and I've worked as a barista for over 2 years.
My name is Kaylee Jenkins. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and I have 10 years experience in the restaurant industry.
My name is Brenda Waybrandt. I've been a server at several different bars and restaurants in downtown Nashville for the last 8 years.
During this COVID-19 crisis, I have seen the reality of how a pandemic of this nature can affect me financially and health-wise.
The company I work for has done little to nothing to provide information on how they plan to ensure the safety of my coworkers and myself.
I've been on furlough since March, and they aren't reopening until October.
Myself and 12 others were fired when we spoke out against the company when a coworker tested positive for COVID-19.
When I return to work, I want to be guaranteed that my coworkers and I will have personal protection equipment, and that if any of us fall ill, we will be protected. This is why I support the Essential Workers Bill of Rights.
This Labor Day, I stand with Rock United and would like to highlight the need for more power in the workplace.
This bill guarantees personal protective equipment for all workers in the industry. It will guarantee that if I get sick and cannot perform my duties, my income will not suffer.
We need to ensure that workers like me, whose labor has contributed to the growth of Nashville, the state of Tennessee, and the U.S. economy, are taken care of when we are at our most vulnerable.
Essential workers are critical to the fabric of this society, and we need your support. Please join us and support the Essential Workers Bill of Rights.
My mother's hands. I share this story in honor of all the women cleaning businesses, hospitals, homes, and government buildings during the pandemic. My story is about my mother's hands, but it could be about your mother's hands, the hands of women protecting us against COVID-19. My mother's hands are a form of magic because with them, she can do anything. Anytime she chooses, she can make delicious food, the best homemade tortillas, barbacoa, menudo, enchiladas, tamales, buñuelos, and chocolate abuelita, hot cocoa. Her hands become tender and skillful whenever I'm sick, reaching out with hot tea, toast, antibiotics, or rubbing my chest with Vicks Vaporub. And if I have a fever, her hands instantly become the thermometer I need. When my mom gets angry, her hands can grab anything in reach and transform it into a weapon. Her favorite weapon is her shoe because even adults are afraid to go near her when she does a fast draw for her sandal. But those tough hands taught me to tie my shoes, to pray, to behave, to offer respect, and to shovel the sidewalk for our elderly neighbors, whether we knew them or not. My mom's hands are now damaged from all the chemicals she must use to clean the offices where she works. That's why I help her clean our own home. I want her hands to rest. Her hands may be essential to the country for COVID-19, but they are also essential to me. I want my mom's hands to hold our diplomas, degrees, achievement awards, and her future grandchildren. Those hands made me what I am today, and they have endured a lot over the last 44 years of struggles. Being a young mother, raising 4 children, and even crossing the desert so her children would not have to work on the cotton farms in Mexico like she did as a child. So now, I want my hands to protect my mom's health and the health of so many women cleaning up COVID-19 for the country. I especially want to raise my hands for the thousands of undocumented women like my mother, who are somehow labeled both essential workers and called illegal as they work to protect our country. In time, we will recover from COVID-19. When we do, it will be in no small part thanks to the hardworking hands of women and men who clean and clean and clean. They keep us safe. We owe them a debt. So join my hands and take action. Sign petitions. Call your representatives.
During this crisis, Americans have done extraordinary things to help their neighbors and show their support for essential workers. It's that solidarity, compassion, and love that are the cornerstones of community. It's been amazing to see and to be a part of, and I personally try to remember to focus on the good that's been awakened as much as we acknowledge the suffering and the disparities across the nation. Let's take a look at how local folks, businesses, and artists have stood up for their neighbors when the unthinkable happened.
So we're about to go to Marco's, pick up some pizzas on Virginia Beach Boulevard, and then after that, we're gonna head straight to Centera on First Colonial.
Who are you talking to? We had mad extra time, so I went to Walmart and just saw all the essential workers and stuff. I was just like, man, I'm about to get them some pizza.
Can I have that?
You want to give them the pizza? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very much.
Yeah, it was just like sharing love, so it was just a simple act.
The community's response to being "We love you" is pretty dope. Pulling up with some of our friends at their job with pizzas is always good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun. It's been really fun, just like popping around.
shout out to Marco's Pizza, man. They look out, they be dumping off 30 pizzas on us every week. So it's like, you know, that's big.
Anything we can have access to, we will share.
Because all the members of our community still need us in these trying times.
We're important.
Because I care for individuals that are unable to care for themselves.
It is my job and my fulfillment to make sure that everybody is able to communicate with each other at all periods of time.
I'm essential because I keep the roads clear and safe for first responders.
To get to those in need.
To put myself at risk each and every day so I could make sure that each of my patients that walk through the hospital are taken care of.
We just like live in a really ideal apex of the world. And yeah, I've traveled like my whole life, but I feel like Virginia Beach is definitely the most convenient place I've ever been.
Are we there yet?
Can you not?
VA, we love you. And together we can conquer anything.
I'm Shepard Ferry, and I created the Valor and Grace Nurse Art to say thank you to all the frontline essential workers, healthcare workers. During this time of anxiety, mental and health challenges for everyone, they're doing the work that keeps the world running. Thank you, I salute you. I hope that the piece of art encourages people to recognize what value you're providing and that you're staying strong and healthy yourselves.
So Ben, I see you've got some ice cream.
Yep, I'm the guy who eats it.
What do you got?
Sherry Garcia. I've spent a lot of time with Sherry Garcia, and it's always good to spend more.
You know, it's kind of crazy times, right? But it's good that there's still ice cream.
It is good that there's still ice cream, but the reason why there's still ice cream is because of all those people, they call them essential workers now. And they are essential. I mean, they're incredibly essential because they're the guys who make it. The guys that are in the factory making it, the guys that are in the scoop shop scooping it, the guys that are in the trucks trucking it, the guys that are in the supermarket stocking it on the shelves, the guys that are at the cashiers checking it all out. I mean, we'd be nowhere without those guys.
Yeah, and you know, it's not just ice cream and it's not just supermarkets. The whole country would essentially be shut down without the workers who are deemed essential. I mean, the doctors and the nurses are incredible, but we need to be thinking about more than just thanking them. I mean, the people who are these essential workers, they don't have the luxury of working from home like you and I do. A lot of times they need to be out there to put food on the table. They're more than likely to be low-income people, people of color.
They got no choice. And, you know, the thing that's so screwed up about it is that they're not getting paid much, but also they don't get health care. They don't get family leave if somebody's sick in their family. They don't get child care, and they don't get a decent living wage. I mean, we got to do more than honor the essential workers. We need to give them the benefits that they need.
You know, Ben, the people on the front lines have been there for us. It's time for us to be there for them.
Yeah, work together, make this happen. We'll give you lots of ice cream.
I'm here with Wayne Johnson, a letter carrier in New Bedford, Massachusetts. First of all, thank you so much for everything that you do every day. Tell me a little bit about your job and why you do what you do and what it's like day to day.
I'm a letter carrier here in New Bedford. I've been with the post office now for 6 years. I do what I do. I love my job. I can't say anymore. I do. I love my job. I appreciate my job. I appreciate the symbol that it is.
You say a symbol. What is it a symbol of?
Symbol of consistency. It stinks to see that so many people are home right now. You know, people have lost their jobs, and you know, people see us, that we're out there, that we are essential.
How have things changed since the coronavirus for you on the job?
A lot has changed. We have staggered start times now. They bring in half the shift in at one time and the other half of the shift in at the other. to keep us socially distant. They're taking those precautions, as far as safety PPE is concerned. When we're walking around the office, we have to wear a mask, make sure we're properly cleaning our vehicles. In between relays myself, just to even make customers feel better, I'm always hand sanitizing or I'm wearing gloves when I'm delivering mail or their parcels.
What does it mean to you that you're now being recognized as essential workers for a job that you've done for years, that many of your colleagues have done for decades?
It means a lot. Especially as of late, where we've had a lot of talk as far as, people getting their prescription drugs at home and things of that nature, and it's been huge because I'm starting to see personally a lot more thank yous out of my customers, which is awesome. And it's not something that I necessarily expect, but it's great at the end of the day knowing that, you are essential to your customers, and your customers do have that expectation, and it's a realistic expectation of you.
What does it mean to you that the Postal Service is a public service?
They see that eagle, they see that USPS, and they know what we're about. And we are very consistent in these people's lives. Whether they're 85 years old and they expect that magazine, or they're 22 years old and they expect that parcel, we're there for these people.
I want to thank you, Wayne, for taking the time to talk to us and for everything you do every day.
Thank you, and no thanks necessary.
Labor Day is an annual moment to celebrate the victories of workers' movements and traditionally a time for people to rest and to gather with their families. This year's Labor Day, we cannot forget those who cannot rest, and we must raise our voices in solidarity with workers' struggles of today. The struggle for a living wage and a voice on the job, for the protections that workers need, and for the right to financial security that means that workers won't have to choose between their safety and their job. When most of the country went home to shelter in place, we still needed food and supplies, and that left millions of retail workers to shoulder the job. At businesses big and small, it's the workers who are keeping the lights on, at great risk to themselves and their families. Next, we'll hear from essential workers at retailers about their experience working during the pandemic.
My name is Cindy Murray, and I'm a 20-year Walmart associate in Laurel, Maryland. I'm a founding member of United for Respect. I've been speaking out about problems at Walmart for years.
My name is Melissa, and I currently work at Walmart, and I'm a captain associate, and I work in the back unloading trucks. And I'm pretty much exposed to most of the customers. I work on the floor too, and it's almost like for me, it's almost like a death sentence because we're out there and the customers are coughing and sneezing, and it's like they don't practice none of the social distancing. They're just in there and they're, around us. So in turn, that puts us at risk.
My name is Laura Virgo. I'm from Brownstown, Michigan. I was previously employed at Art Van Furniture, which was looted by Wall Street in a company called T.H. Lee.
My name is Anne Marie Reinhardt, and I live in Durham, North Carolina. I currently work at Belk. For 29 years prior to that, I worked at Toys R Us. Currently working for Belk, I found out that they were recently bought out by Sycamore Partners. They were giving us ultimatums that you need to be available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and we'll only guarantee you up to 20 hours.
Every day, I pray that I don't come home and make my family sick, or I don't die from it.
From the time that this pandemic started, we were supposed to get hazard pay, but we've never seen not a dime of this money that supposedly is coming in. So it's just like we're just kind of just on the front lines, just basically almost working for free.
I'm scared. I have underlying health issues. They're not pushing for everyone to wear a face mask. They're not providing them. They're exceeding the amount of people that are supposed to be in the store. And, one woman, she said she quit because she said she didn't feel safe.
Thousands of irate people having a gun pulled on me. We had a security guard walk off the job because it was too unsafe.
They don't know what we're going through on a day-to-day basis. How we're not able to, maybe pay our rent, or how we're not able to pay our bills.
Our voices will not be silenced.
We need to unite as a country. We can definitely make change if we stand together.
I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah, well, I'm gonna sit at the welcome table.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Good evening. Tonight, our charge and our privilege is not only to honor the ongoing work, but also to remember. COVID-19 has robbed us of so many essential people, our frontline workers, people whose families have been forced to say goodbye too soon, and who often have not even had the chance to say goodbye. We know that their stories will live on in the memory of the people who knew and loved and depended on them. But it is on us tonight to honor the sacrifice that they have made on behalf of the entire nation forever. Let us never forget Gabby Gale, a 4th grade special education teacher in Queens. Thank you, Gabby, for always leaving your office door open after hours for your students, for always standing up courageously on behalf of the members of your union. We honor your life, Gabby, and how you poured your heart and soul into mentoring, into fighting for equity for women and for students of color, for coaching softball, all of this while you were studying to complete your graduate doctoral degree. Gabby Gale, our hearts go out to your beloved Leona and Leon, to your mother Beverly, and to Angelique, Annie Nicole, John, and Alexander.
Omar Portillo was a native of Honduras, and he came to New York City in the early 80s. He's been working since the age of 12, and for 25 years he was the handyman at The Nation in New York City's Garment District. But more than that, Omar loved merengue and salsa dancing. He also loved long summertime drives down to Florida and months spent in Honduras visiting his family. Omar was more than work. He was loved by all his coworkers, and we will miss him.
The Knife Adelina was a Filipino domestic worker, human trafficking survivor, and a member of the Filipino Workers Center. She transformed from a victim of abuse to an empowered survivor and leader, a symbol of hope to the oppressed and an inspiration to so many.
I am particularly honored to pay tribute to an angel, Elena Cáceres, who died March 25th, 2020, and to send love from all of us to the Cáceres family. We are so heartbroken for your loss, and we pay tribute to Elena's incredible service, to the work that she did as a member of Unite Here Local 100. Elena, who was a Sky Chef food service worker who prepared food for people on airlines, lost her life tragically to COVID, and know that our hearts are with you, and we continue to pay tribute in her honor. We are thinking of you this weekend and always.
Norberto Dragunsman MD came to America in 2004 and worked 2 jobs at Walgreens and BB&T Banks. He loved to sing, dance, and listen to music, and made wonderful breakfasts for his grandchildren. Our thoughts go out to his wife Susan, his daughters, and his grandchildren.
Anna Eng was a high school counselor who dedicated 34 years of her life to, in particular, helping kids not drop out of high school. She was known to be incredibly loving and creative in the way that she tended to her students, and she was often the only safe place for a lot of her students. Our thoughts and prayers are with your husband and your son, and to the families of all of those you touched. Thank you so much for your service. You are essential and always will be.
Leslie Berner-Ray was a paraprofessional for 25 years in East Flatbush. Simultaneously, she worked as a nurse in downtown Brooklyn. She started her day every day at 6 a.m. and didn't end till after midnight when her shift at the nursing home was over. Thank you, Leslie. Our thoughts and prayers are with your children, Stephanie and Gesley, and with your entire community.
Doña Irene Ramirez, domestic worker. Doña Irene Ramirez was born in Mexico and was a longtime domestic worker, member of the NDWA, mother, grandmother, and cooking extraordinaire. She was dedicated to cleaning houses and caring for children. And she was an amazing dancer who would often put down her cane to join in on the dance floor. Doña Irene, our hearts go out to your 2 daughters and to all those who loved you. Muchas gracias.
Wow, that was powerful. I don't know how much more there is for me to say. Thank you. I hope this evening brought some hope and some joy, and also brought you a little bit closer to the realities that so many members of our community are facing on a daily basis. It's going to take all of us to ensure that the essential workers who've lost their lives on the front lines and those who sacrifice daily just by going to work are not forgotten. We all need to take the time to listen to and offer acts of kindness to people around us, but particularly to those whose work makes the world go round. And because thanks and praise are not enough for workers who have faced hazardous work conditions, PPE shortages, entitled customers and employers, and an economy that too often prioritizes profit over the health and safety of people, we're going to have to organize, stand up together, and fight back to ensure that essential workers have what they need. Please text tribute to 97779 to join in the fight for essential workers. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe and good night.